Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Akakwadash. Shalom, you brothers and sisters out there, coming at you with a quick little lesson here. And I opened up Google News, and I saw the top story here. It's from Axios, and I wanted to get a few scriptures on it. Just a short little lesson, but it's titled, ICE and Border Patrol shootings spark hundreds of weekend vigils and protests. Not hundreds of people, but hundreds of weekend vigils and protests. And you can see they're, all over the United States of America. And, yeah, man, so people are really pissed, all right, with all the ICE shit that's going on. They're really pissed about it. They're pissed about Trump. They're pissed about the economy. They're pissed about the judicial system, all right. And, of course, this ties in with, the lesson series that I've been making about the decline of America's, societal decline. And people are fed up, all right? People are fed up, and that's what we've been talking about in that. And, yeah, man, people are pissed, all right? I guess we'll go and read a little bit of it. But, let it load here. So it says, ICE and Border Patrol shootings spark hundreds of weekend vigils and protests. It says, ICE out for good vigils and protest events were quickly planned nationwide for January 10th and 11th in response to a fatal shooting by immigration officers in Minneapolis, organizers told Axios on Friday. Well, I can't read too much because it wants me to sign up, and I'm just not going to do it. All right, but you can see that's what it's talking about. You can see January 8th, 2026. It says, get the fuck out. Fatal shooting raises tensions amid ICE's Minneapolis surge. There's a lot of information about ICE. These are the DHS, Department of Homeland Security officer, involved shootings in Trump's second term. And I think I heard somewhere it was like 30 or something like that. All right, 36 or something like that, maybe. But yeah, this is the state of the world. People are getting really pissed off. All right, we're getting into Jacob's trouble. People are getting pissed off. There's going to be, uprisings. There's going to be rebelling. There's going to be, revolutions, protests, and not really a revolution in the way they want. A revolution, is inspired a change. All right, and they're going to get a change, but even the blue Idumean, all right, the Democrats, they're not going to get the change that they're looking for. There will be a change, but it's going to be the change from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. It's not going to be a change in power structure between white people. It's just that, so-called white people, the Edomites, it's just going to be them not being in power. It's not going to be, the red goes away and they're all charged with treason and, and now it's the blue people, they get to lead. No, that's not how it's going to go. That's what they wish for, but that's not the revolution they're going to get. There will be a revolution, but it's not going to be what they want. As a matter of fact, let's define revolution. All right, revolution, define. Okay.
Revolution.
All right, revolution, a forcible overthrow of a government or a societal order in favor of a new system. Again, there will be a revolution, but it's not going to be the revolution that they want. All right, the overthrow of the government is going to happen, and it's going to be taken over and established by Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, not a Democrat, not a Republican, not an independent, all right, but by Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So they don't want that. But it will happen, all right? There will be revolutions, or a revolution. There will be a revolution. There will be revolts. Revolt, revolution, right? Accidentally pluralized revolution. I mean, in a way, there will be revolutions, all right? I mean, multiple forms of government being thrown out, one by one, but it's really just going to be one big revolution that gets it all done. But, yeah, people are pissed off, man. People are pissed off. We'll start with Luke 21:9. All right, now it sounds familiar to some of the scriptures, wars and rumors of wars that you hear in Matthew 24, but this is a little bit different, and I got it because it mentions commotions, not wars and rumors of wars, but it talks about wars and commotions, okay? So, and the AMP Bible really nails it on this one, all right? Not that the King James Bible doesn't, but it really puts it into perspective what type of commotion is being talked about. In the King James Bible, the AMP Bible really outlays what is a commotion, what type of commotions, all right, are going to be happening. So this red letter, Yahweh Shai speaking, Luke 21:9, it says, "But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, Be not terrified, for these things must come to pass, but the end is not by and by. All right? So it's not quite there yet. But, and people use that. They'll say, well, or they use Matthew 24. It says the end is not yet. It's like, yeah, it's not yet. That's like saying if I was about to punch you in the face, I say, hey, don't worry, I haven't punched you in the face yet. Right? That doesn't mean that it's not going to happen or that it's not close. All right? Because I'm still very close to punching you in the face. It's just not going to happen just yet. Right? There's some other things that got to happen. For in this case, I gotta call you out on your name, and then I'm gonna punch you in the face. Right? In this case, there's some prophecies that have to be had. All right? Notably the mark of the beast. All right? Of course, the rest of Israel waking up. And then, World War III popping off, and then, of course, that's it, all right? And then that's the end. That's pretty much the end. And the end, all right? We're in the end now, but the end, the nail in the coffin is yet to happen, right? So, the word commotion here, all right, what does it really mean? Well, let's go over into Luke 21:9 in the AMP Bible. It says, when ye hear of wars and disturbances, it says civil unrest, revolts, uprising. It says, do not panic, for these things must first take place, but the end will not come immediately. Okay? And I like how it explains that as well. Okay? It's not going to become immediately. All right? These things are going to happen and then just boom. No. We have to, there's prophecies that we're waiting for. Again, as I said, the mark of the beast. All right? The rest of Israel waking up. All right? Really, the rest of Israel waking up and the mark of the beast is really going to be synonymous with one another because, Israel, the 1/3 are not going to get it, all right? Once the 1/3 are sealed, we're out, all right? It's going to get really, really heated up in here, all right? And we're getting close to that time. So, the time to repent and, learn about this gospel, all right, through Yahweh Shem Shai is running out, all right? It's running out. And it does talk about, the Lord bringing a famine, not of food or not of bread, but of hearing the word, okay? So, and that's coming, all right, and it's really, where all of our channels are going to get deleted and shut off from the internet, all right, and that's just kind of how it's going to go. Some of us are going to be prosecuted, some of us won't be prosecuted, some are going to get their heads chopped off, all right, some won't. Everybody's going to be a little bit different, but, for the vast majority, all right, some sort of prosecution will happen, right, whether it be you're imprisoned and they chop your head off, or that's what they're going to do with a good chunk at least. Not saying that every person 100% is going to have that done. There'll be underliers, of course. But, that's how it's going to be. That's what they're going to be doing, man. Trump loves that guillotine. So, yeah, man. So, that's those commotions. All right, and there's commotions right now. People are, revolting. All right, uprisings. All right, they hate the state that the world's in right now. Every people are really against ICE. All right. And yeah, man, it's I mean, rightfully so. I mean, they're essentially a domestic terrorist organization, right? If you really want to get down to it, and they call us domestic terrorists, all right, which we've basically officially been labeled at. They haven't officially come out and said Hebrew Israelites and put that on our name yet. They will. But they said anybody who opposes Christian values, which we do, anyone who's anti-American, which we are, all right, and anybody who opposes, the government, which we do, all right, and they said they're going to, label them. That's what Trump wants to do, is label them as domestic terrorists. All right, and Antifa, if you're anti-fascist, all right, well, this truth isn't built on a fascist government. So we would be considered anti-fascist as well. All right, and fascism, is a system of government that usually is rooted in racial supremacy. Which you could say, oh, well, the truth has a remnant. It's not really fascist because fascism is different. All right, we're is a theocracy. Yeah.
Theocracy.
A theocracy or theocracy, a system of government which priests rule in the name of Yahweh or a power. All right, we're a theocracy. We're it's not monarchical. Is it monarchical? Monarchy? I looked it up one time. A monarchy is a government where a single ruler, a monarch, a king, serves as the head of state, typically inheriting the position for life. Yeah, so we're in like a monarchical theocracy. All right, is really what we're in. All right, Yahushua is the king, and he'll be the king forever and ever and ever. All right, that's how it's going to work, and that was promised to him by his father Yahweh. Okay, so, and of course, same thing with monarchy. They have, people that are under them. They might have counselors or whatever, chancellors or certain different things like that. All right, which of course is going to be the 144, the elect, and on. But that's going to be a monarchical theocracy. If you go and look at it, a monarchical theocracy. All right. A theocratic monarchy blends rule by a single monarch with divine authority, where the king or queen is seen as Yahweh's representative, which would be Yahushua in this case, or even a deity ruling by divine right, which Yahushua will have the divine right, making laws based on religious texts and combining religious and political power with examples like historical sacred kingship, like they had in ancient Egypt, Japan. It's not going to be the same. It says, or in the Vatican City. It says, it's a system where the ruler's power is absolute, derived from Yahweh, not the people, and the state's laws are inseparable from its religion. So, divine authority. The monarch's power comes directly from Yahweh or a deity, making them the ultimate authority. Laws are based on religious codes, scripture, and decrees, with no separation between church and state. Clerical guidance. Government officials are often clergy, acting as divine intermediaries. Yeah, so, like the 144,000. They're basically the army of the Lord, right? So, and ruling body, the judges, and so on and so forth. So, of course, and then you have King David, all right? But, yeah, so it's a theocratic monarchy, all right? A theocratic monarchy. It's not a fascist state. So are we anti-fascist? By definition, yes. All right, by definition, yes, because we're anti-fascist, we're anti-capitalist, we're anti all these things because we're a theocratic monarchy. If you really want to use a worldly government term to what we are, we're really a theocratic monarchy, which is still doesn't explain what we truly are. But I believe when I talked to chat one time, it basically said it's a theocratic monarchical something or other, right? It's a blend of several forms of government, right? So, and that's just how it is. So yeah, by definition, we're anti-fascist. Unless you're a fascist, all right, you're usually an anti-fascist, okay? And they're using those blanket terms to classify everybody as a terrorist when they're the terrorists. All right, if you look up what is terrorism. Sure, that'll be put. I'm already on a list, all right, just by being, teaching this truth. But what is terrorism by definition? It says the calculated use of threat of violence and intimidation to create fear and achieve political, religious, and ideological goals targeting governments, organizations, or the public beyond immediate victims. So, or public. So, calculated use of threats of violence and intimidation to create fear and achieve political and ideological goals. Is that not what they're doing? Is ICE not a terrorist organization? All right, that's what they're doing. They're using threat of extreme violence or an intimidation. All right, to push and achieve political goals. All right, so what Trump's doing is terrorism. All right, but nope, not him. We're the terrorists because we sit behind a computer and we preach, the glory of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Yep, us. Yep, we're the ones. Oh yeah, we're not out there causing. We might cause fear in people, but that's not really us. That's the scriptures cause fear in people. All right, if people are living wrong and they hear about the scriptures and that, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is going to destroy people that are living wickedly, yeah, that should put some fear in you. All right, but we're not going out and intimidating people and pushing them and shoving them and saying, hey, motherfucker. No, you either get it, you get it. At the end of the day, if you're so afraid, you can shut us off, right? You can go on YouTube and say, I don't like this video. Click. Brothers on the highways and byways, you can say, I don't like this. And you can walk by. They're not going to grab you by the hand and say, you're going to listen to this, bitch. All right? No. Right? If you don't like it, if it's making you scared, you can go away. Right? You can click off the YouTube video. You don't have to sit here and listen to it. You can click off the YouTube video. You can go ahead and you can keep on walking down the street. You don't really have a choice if you're trying to go to Walmart and all of a sudden you got some dudes that are wearing some masks that fucking, pull you down and get you on the ground. And they say, listen here, you fucking beaner, right? And they're, kneeing you in the fucking back. Here it is. You've lived in America, all right, and you were born here, and your parents were born here, and their parents were born here, but now, because you look the way they're over here fucking, oh, you had a little bit too much of an accent. When I asked you about a job, you said yob, so I tackled you, all right? It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous, and it's a fucking it's a why is my brain draw? It's an invasion, all right? It's a fucking invasion, all right? It's a come on, what's the name? What's the word I just used not too long ago? The Apostle Dahar was using it as well, and it's in the scriptures. Not insurgency. Not inquisition. What's the word, man? I'm drawing a blank. Insurrection. Call all Yahweh Shem Yahushai. It's an insurrection. It's a fucking insurrection. Right? It's an insurrection. That's exactly what it is. That's what the scriptures call it. An insurrection. Right? And no, man, this society's failing. All right? They're creating more, and they don't have any basis. They're not technically police. All right? They're loosely governmental. Right? They don't really have a dress code. If you look at a firefighter, they dress one way. If you look at a police officer, they dress one way. If you look at somebody in the Navy, they dress a way. A Marine, they dress a certain type of way. The Army, they dress a certain type of way. All right, you look at a baker, they dress a certain type of way. All right, they have a uniform. They always wear the white hat. All right, and all that. ICE, the only thing that stays the same between all of them is that they wear tactical gear. Some of them might wear a full balaclava. Some of them might wear a nose covering. Some of them might have the tactical vest. Some of them might not have the tactical vest. Some of them might have, and they don't have anything that clearly, brand. Some people do have the branding that says, immigration. Some people don't. Right? Some people do, some people don't. That's not how an organization runs. All right. So how are you going to know if that person is really ICE or not, or if it's some Ku Klux Klan member that decided to throw on that uniform and go and put black and brown people in a van and go and torture them, kill them, and feed them to the pigs. All right, out on their fucking racist ass farm. How do you know? You don't. There's no differentiation. All right, because they're really not governed and lawed like a regular organization like the police are. Okay, so. Anyway, enough rambling going on. It's a fucking insurrection. It's a fucking invasion. All right, that's what they're doing. They're a terrorist organization. ICE is a terrorist organization. All right, but nope, we're the terrorists. That's what they say. Nope, because we read some scriptures, all right, and preach the glory of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. We're not out there doing anything to anybody else. We're not tackling people and beating them and hitting them and spitting on them and shooting them with guns and walking around and toting pistols and knives and spraying people down with tear gas and pepper spray. We're not doing that. All we're doing is reading scriptures and showing you what the Lord's going to do. Not what we're going to do. We're not going to do anything. All right? The Lord said, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. We're not going to do anything, but we're the terrorists, right? Yeah, that's fucking unjust. And this society has no, the law is slacked, as the scriptures say, all right? Because, again, why? Because the earth is given in the hand of the wicked, all right? So, because of that, the wicked man in rulership, the law is slacked. All right, and justice doesn't go forth, as we got just the other day. And because they're wicked, they don't know what justice is. They don't know what true justice is. They're wicked. They can't discern what's right from wrong. All right, so they say, or that another script that comes to mind is, woe unto them that call good evil and evil good, that put light for dark and dark for light, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Okay, that's another one that comes to mind. You can look that up. Actually, we'll go and get it. It'll correct it. Isaiah 5:20. In the King James Version, it says, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. That's them. That's these people. They say, oh, you're the terrorists. Not us, but they're the terrorists. They say, oh, you guys are hateful, when they're the hateful ones. They call that projecting. Okay, they call that projecting. Okay, because we're not doing anything. I mean, we are doing something through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, but as just people, all right, that's all we're seen as. We're not seen as prophets or messengers of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, or, harbingers of the end. We're not viewed as that, all right? That's what we are, but we're not viewed as that. They just see us as some pieces of shit, all right? So that's all we are, some pieces of shit. Cool. Well, in the world, all we are is some pieces of shit, all right? We sit around, we're lazy, all right? We're on the computer. All we do is read the Bible all day, and we're not productive members of society, right? We go to our work and, do what we do, or hustle however it is that we make our money, and, we just focus on the Bible, and our nose is always in the Bible, and we have nothing better to do, right? As opposed, that's what society thinks about us. So how are we harmful if that's all we do, right? And we might hurt some feelings from time to time in our videos with the brothers that are on the highways and byways. When people stop by, they don't have to stop by. They can keep on moving. They don't have to stay. That's not no one ever. I'm not seen one video where someone grabbed someone's arm and said, "You have to stay here and listen to this." Not once. Right? Not once. Fucking the ballad of what was that? The ballad is Dewey Cox. Yeah, the ballad Walk Hard, right? Yeah, you never paid for drugs. Not once. Anyway, stupid movie if you ever seen it. Not once, right? I've not once seen that video, right? Not once seen a video of someone grabbing somebody by the arm and say, "You must listen to this right now. I'm going to call you what you are, lady. You're an Edomite, and you must stay here." No, they argue back and forth. "I'm not an Edomite. No, I'm not an Edomite." But they could keep on walking, right? But they don't, all right? The demons get them acting up, and they want to stay to get cut, right? It's really Yahweh Shem Yahushai that's having them stand there and get cut. All right, and the demons have them acting up, and they got it's just funny. It's just funny when you see it happen, because they could just leave. You don't have to, That's like if I was walking through a store and I saw I saw a package that I really didn't like. What am I gonna do? Stand there? Ooh, I hate that package. Ooh, and I'm have what? I could just walk away from the package. Why am I going to stand there? Here it is. If I'm on YouTube and all of a sudden Taylor Swift comes on and I don't like Taylor Swift, why am I going to let it play and just grimace and snarl through the whole thing? Ooh, I hate Taylor Swift. I hate this. Turn it. Get another video. Turn the computer off. Walk away. Right? Just go. You can go away. You're not forced. No one's this ain't Get Out. They didn't tape you down and chain you and shackle you to a chair and force you to walk. You can go. You can get. Right? But they say, "Oh, you guys are so evil." Then don't listen to it. Go away. Go away. Right? I don't scroll across the Islam video and sit there pissed off. "Ooh, there's those Islam guys again." And here it is. I'm watching this video. And I'm stuck, sitting watching it. Here it is. It's an hour and a half video, and I gotta watch it all, right? I gotta watch all the video because I'm just so pissed off. And afterwards, I write a nasty comment. I say, "I don't believe what you guys have to say." Right? So just go away. Nobody cares, right? But no, we're horrible. We're horrible. Oh, we're the worst of the worst, right? No, it's because it's because they hate the Lord. All right, and because they hate the Lord, we get hated by default, right? Because we're preachers of the Lord. So 2 Esdras 9:3, it says, "Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning." And we just got this the other day. But again, uproars of the people. What is an uproar? All right, what is an uproar? Not a fucking movie. They got a movie for everything. I bet if I looked up fucking doo-doo butt, there'd be a brand new movie coming out in 2026. Doo-doo butt the movie. Anything. You look anything up. You look up Grievous as General Grievous from Star Wars. I look up the word up and I get the movie Up. I look up uproar. Apparently there's a fucking movie in 2023 called Uproar. No. Give me the goddamn definition. All right? Uproar meaning the movie. That's the next shit. I'd crash out. Uproar meaning the movie. They named a movie Uproar meaning. Anyway, uproar. A loud and impassionate noise or disturbance, but really what it means in this case is a public expression of protest or outrage, outcry, fear, protest, protestation, complaint, objection, clamor, fuss, commotion, hue and cry, row, ruckus, brouhaha, opposition, dissent, indignation, hoobaloo, rampus, ballyhoo, stink, and ruction. These are some old-ass words. These kids out there, they're hewing and crying with a brouhaha and a hoobaloo. The fuck? You need to calm down. That's some old people shit, right? Not that there's anything wrong with it for the old folk, all right? But it's just that's one of them old-fashioned words. A hoobaloo. That's a bunch of hoobaloo. Really, I don't think I've ever heard one Jake ever say hoobaloo. All right, that's some really white shit. That's right up there with okie dokie. Right? Okie dokie. That's just a bunch of hoobaloo. All right, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, it's a public expression of protest or outrage, and is that not happening? It is happening. All right, and why? That's because again, the wicked are in authority. Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. What are people doing right now? Are they rejoicing or are they mourning? So if they're mourning, that must mean that the wicked are in rule. And if the wicked are in rule, that must mean that the so-called white man is the wicked. All right? The Edomites. All right? And that's why you can't just go by the white man. Oh, the white man, the white man, the white man. There's white Israelites. All right? There's brown Edomites. All right? You can't go by skin color. All right, we keep on showing, and they say, oh, you're racist, you're against skin color. We're not against skin color, all right? You can say we're against ethnicity, but we're only against ethnicity because the Bible categorizes by ethnicity, all right? That's how biblically in ancient Hebrew lineage was determined, ethnicity, all right? You were either of the Israelite stock or you were not, all right? And how is that determined? Paternal ethnicity, paternal ancestry, all right? If your great-grandfather was Jacob, well, you're from that line, all right? So that's just how it goes. All right. And of course, we've been through so many generations now, we can't trace ourselves directly back to Jacob, but we know we go back to Jacob through being able to teach, be able to preach, all right, understanding, calling upon Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, understanding and getting called back to this faith and knowing who we are. That's not going to happen to somebody who's not that people. All right. It's not. All right. And we fit biblically with the curses. So we know who we are. All right. Through that. All right, you can take an ancestry test. It's not going to tell you, oh, you are an Israelite and your great-great-grandfather was actually Jeremiah. That's not going to tell you that. It's not going to tell you that. All right, even if they had the technology, all right, to do that, all right, which they more than likely don't. All right, they wouldn't. All right, they wouldn't give you that information and all that. Everyone already keeps on going by science, by science, by science. Oh, science this, science that. What is that? There's this chromosome or DNA, C1B1 DNA or something. What the fuck? It's what really makes you an Israelite or not. All right, and they say black people don't have that DNA. Right. Well, here's the thing. Esau created that standard. They said that DNA strand goes back to who the real Israelites are. They made that up. They did that with all that stuff on it. Inside joke. They did that. All right. That was what they did, right? That's not, it's the same, and science is a practice. You can go and look that up. Medicine is a practice. What is a practice? They're practicing it. That means it's not perfected, okay? That's the thing you got to realize. It's not perfected. It's a practice, okay? Everybody looks at science as like hard-coded evidence. There are things that are science that are hard-coded. For example, if I chuck you up in the air, your ass is going to fall down, right? That's just what goes up must come down, all right? Or an object in motion stays in motion until an object that is in motion stays in motion until a collision with another object. You know, Newton's law. Most of those have factual basis, but other things aren't really. You know, if you go and look at carbon dating, we carbon dated this to and prove it. Carbon dating is not that accurate. All right, you can go and look this up. All right, how accurate really is carbon dating? Carbon dating is highly accurate for organic materials up to about 50 to 60,000 years old. We haven't been here for no 60,000 years. We haven't been here for no 60,000 years. Okay? That's not how... You can go look up from how many years from biblical times to today. Approximately 6,000 years. Okay? 6,000 years. Okay? So, while historical events mentioned in the Bible, like the Exodus or King David's fall, has happened within the last 3,500 years. Okay? So, that was only 3,000 years ago. Alright, which seems like a long time, but it really wasn't all that long. Okay? So, but yeah, you can see it. So, they say 60,000 years. There ain't been no 60,000. What are you talking about? Alright? So, and they can go into the Genesis and they call it, well, that's been billion years ago. When, no, we haven't been here for all that long. If you go and look at Hebrew, what is date in Hebrew calendar? What year are we in? It's like the 5,786th year, right? Since being, labeled like that, right? So, no, it ain't been no... and the exact time going from creation to now, and who knows? It ain't no fucking 4.6 billion years or whatever. No, hasn't been that long, right? But they want to say it's that long. Why? Because we did these tests and we found these things out. Cool. What about all the things that you found out and then later you found out were false? Don't think about that one, do you? But here's 2 Esdras 15 and 16, then we're going to close out. It says, for there shall be sedition among men, and evading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. And you can read up, all right, you can get really from 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. End of the world's coming, right? Well, not really the end of the world. I don't like saying end of the world because when people think of end of the world, they think of the earth cracking in half. And no, it's not the end of the world. It's the end of the world as we know it, the end of society. All right, American Babylonian society. It's going to be put to an end. Not society, but Babylonian society. There will still be societal structure. It's just going to be done right. So 15, it says, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up against another. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition. And the modern day sword is a gun, mind you, or it could be a bat, but the modern day sword for the most part is a gun. But it could be a bat, it could be a hammer, it could be a mallet, it could be a meat cleaver, all right, it could be a car. Many things could be utilized as a sword, a killing weapon, right? Well, this is what a sword is, a killing weapon, a killing tool. All right, or as it says in the Bible, a slaughter weapon, with each a slaughter weapon in their hand. It can be used as a slaughter weapon. That's a sword. Verse 16, for there shall be sedition among men. Sedition is the big word we're looking at today. Among men and evading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. They're not going to regard their kings nor princes. They don't care about them. Fuck them. All right, fuck the kings, fuck the princes. All right, fuck the government. All right, we're in an all-out war. Right, that's what's going to happen. All right, and we're just going to be chilling. We're just going to be making our lessons until we can't, and then we're just going to be working on getting our family in order and getting safe. All right. We're not going to be going out and rioting in the street. No, that's stupid. That's foolish. Okay, that's not for us to do. All right, but they're going to say it's us. All right. It says, they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. There you go. And then it talks about shit being shut down. Verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. There you go. And it talks about in verse 18, for because of their pride the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. There you go. In verse 19, you got to get that as well. It says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Invasions, people taking their food. It's going to be bad. Rioting in the street. All right. It's going to be bad. All right. But it talks about sedition among men. And what is sedition? Sedition, all right? It says conduct or a speech, but it's not conduct or a speech. It says inciting people to rebel against authority or a state of a monarch. And that's sedition is they say it's incitement of, but no. Sedition. It's really going to be, you can see it right here. A language intended to incite insurrection against a government authority. Okay? Language or behavior intended to persuade others to oppose the government and charge it. All right? So that's how it's going to go. All right? And there's already a lot of that. All right? There's already a lot of that. So they could even say what we do is sedition, because we're not promoting this government, all right? We're promoting Yahweh Shem Shai's former rule. We're not going to say government, because government's a tainted term. But yeah, man, so people are not happy, all right, about all the things going on with ICE, or the world, or the Democrats, or the Republicans, or the politicians, or the things that are going on in Ukraine, or Russia, or the things that are going on with Israel, all right, or the things that are going on with North Korea, or the things that are going on with China. People aren't happy, all right? And that's a sign that we're getting closer and closer to the end. So call out Yahweh Shem Shai for that. So that's where we're going to close out. Lord was edifying. Again, all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Shai, Ba'ashem Akakwadash. Shalom to you brothers and sisters out there. Keep enduring. Keep the faith. We're almost out of here. Until next one, Lord willing. Shalom.